Welcome to the Gutsy Spotlight series. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Natalie Taggart. She is a holistic health and leadership coach who teaches women who feel stressed, overwhelmed, and burnt out how to recover their inner spark and shine from the inside out. She's also a personal friend, and we've coached each other over the past year and a half, so I know that she's the real deal and can really spark some change. So, welcome, Natalie.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So excited to have you on today. So, I'd just like to start it off with my typical first question, which is what does gutsy mean to you?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I think what gutsy means to me is really this concept of feeling the fear and doing it anyway. A lot of times we set these amazing big goals for ourselves, and that can bring up, whatever it brings up. But to be gutsy means to go out and do it anyway and be pulled forward by your vision instead of held back by your fears.
Mm, yeah, that's great. So, can you tell us about a time when
Yeah.
you went through that, or pulled forward by your bigger vision despite the fear?
Yeah. Um, yeah, a time when I was pulled forward by my vision. I think as, any coach or entrepreneur watching this can attest, like anytime you're starting something new or starting your business, for me, it was about a year ago when I went through a pretty traumatic breakup with the man I was living with, and it was very serious. And I just had this feeling that I learned was my intuition, telling me that this isn't right and this wasn't the right guy, and I have to go and really playful out in my business and be who I really wanted to be. And I couldn't stay in that relationship and do that. So, um, I we broke up and I moved out on my own, and since then my business has just really took off and flourished. So that was my intuition telling me the right thing, but it definitely wasn't easy at the time. There's a lot of pain and fear and all that stuff, but I just had to trust that feeling that I was like, this is the right thing. Like, you have to keep moving. You just have to go through it and come out on the other side stronger and gutsier.
Yeah. Well, I do remember, that time in your life last year. And so you mentioned specifically people who are starting their own business, but do you think that that sort of gutsiness is limited to that? Or what about the other listeners?
No. Yeah, good question. Never, no, definitely not. I think it's really anytime we go and try to do something outside of our comfort zones, right? I was talking to my sister's friend like a couple weeks ago who just got a promotion, and she was, nervous if she could handle it, if this was really, the right job for her, or she was ready. And we're never ready, right? It's always that next level of moving into it. So I told her, I was like, look, like, this has fallen in your lap for a reason. You are ready. And so just, move through that and don't try, you have to acknowledge the fear. You can't shove it aside, but definitely moving through it instead of being controlled by it is a lesson we can use for all areas of our lives, right?
That's
Except
true.
when, of course, like, there's the, like, that guy's creepy, like, walk away, or the bear, in the woods, like, then it's
Right.
there for a reason. But for the most part, if your physical well-being is not in danger, you can, you can move through it for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. We're not talking about all fear. It's just
Yeah.
the fear that is really just excitement, like people
Yeah.
say, without the breath. I don't know who said that, but if you remember, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
pop in there.
That's
And
from,
so, hmm?
that's from Stacey and Carrie, Holistic MBA.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there you
Mm.
go. People can
There,
look it
yeah,
up.
amazing.
um, And so, yeah, that reminds me of an Instagram post that I saw from you, I think last week, how you were talking about moving through fear, moving through emotion. So, do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times as women, we're conditioned to always be the good girl, right? Like it's not safe to feel sad or get angry. God forbid, no, anyone gets angry. Um, and yeah, right. And so we're conditioned that there are only a certain number of acceptable emotions that we can have, and the rest of it we just have to shove down, or it's not okay. We have to deny them or push them down or whatever it is. And in that post, I was saying that that's actually counterproductive because what we resist persists. So the more you repress those emotions, the more you don't acknowledge them or ignore them, try to push them down, the more they're either going to fester in your physical well-being. So like insomnia, or I work with women who feel burnt out because they're always going, trying to run from whatever kind of negative emotion they're having. Mm-hmm. And in a broad sense, that's not everyone, but we are afraid, we become afraid of these negative feelings. And what I was saying is that it's actually much more effective to just feel them and let them move through you, because it takes way less time to move through it than it does to heal years and years of repression. And a lot of times we're afraid of what's going to happen when we actually let ourselves feel the feelings. I remember, again, in this breakup situation, that I really thought, it was going to kill me. Like this pain was just going to really overwhelm me. And luckily I was working with an amazing coach at the time who really helped me through that and held that space for me and was able to help me process that emotion so I could move through it instead of shoving it down. And so then in that process, becoming more of a whole woman and really in touch with my intuition and my emotions. So, it's really important to, if they're not going to kill you, right? And just letting it pass and sitting with the uncomfortableness and the pain, because that's how you get to the other side. And you really can't feel the heights of joy if you're not down in the depths sometimes either. You have to have both. So, that's what that's about. And it's something, I now live my life by that. I teach my clients that. I think it's really key to becoming a gutsy woman because, again, you can't have your full range of success if you're not going to the depths either.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I remember reading somewhere that every emotion, whether it be, labeled positive or negative, it has pretty much the same time span within us. So, it's like when we're sad, we think we're going to be sad forever. And when we're happy, we think, oh my God, something bad's going to happen. And it's so negative and it's hilarious. But, it's not when
I think we all had that experience where it's like, when I get this, when this happens, when X, Y, and Z, when I lose the weight, when I get the job, when I meet the man, whatever, then I'll be happy, forever. And... I've had that experience. I've achieved something that I've really worked hard for, and maybe a day. Maybe, at most, a week. To ride that high, and then you're back to normal. So the goal is to just, up level that baseline. So you're, but wherever you're at, positive or negative, you can come back to that baseline more quickly and not just stay down. Yeah, but totally. We're so afraid that we're going to stay there forever. And it's not our biology. It's not possible, right?
No, so, yeah, that's a great point. So what would you say is one of your best tips that you use with your clients in terms of being afraid to feel negative feelings?
Yeah, totally. First off, one of the first steps is just noticing that you are afraid to feel your negative feelings. Sometimes we're just not in touch with that at all. So even getting to that space where you have the self-awareness to say, yeah, this is happening, and I'm afraid of it because X, Y, and Z, is a great first step. And then once you're in that space, to have compassion for yourself, right? Like, it's not you must feel this or you will not achieve enlightenment or whatever. Be compassionate for yourself. Like, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to, you're going to get there. Right. And then when it finally, either through practices I have my clients do, or things like journaling, things like meditation, things like, even if you aren't a good meditator, which I hear a lot, even just sitting in stillness, that's the biggest key, right? Is to just 10 minutes, sit in stillness, no distractions, no phone, no internet, no TV, just, sit with yourself and feel what comes up. Because especially in our modern lives, there's a million other things we could be doing. And sometimes we use that as a distraction to actually feel our feelings and to move through them. It's like, well, I'm just going to keep going, or I'm going to get on Facebook or whatever. So just those couple minutes and then just noticing what comes up for you and not shoving it down as it comes. If you need to cry, I'm a big crier. I cry pretty much every day, crying. I sometimes tell people, if you're angry, to get a towel and hit the wall with a towel, scream into your pillow, whatever it is that you need to do, give yourself permission, go at it and see how much better you feel, because you will definitely feel better.
Yeah. And I think people will be surprised too that, like what you were saying, they're not going to stay in that place once they open the bottle. It's not like, I'm going to be angry the rest of my life. Once you actually feel it, it moves through quite quickly. So those are great tips. Thank you.
I also really enjoy and tell my clients to take Epsom salt baths. Mm-hmm. They're not only detoxifying for your physical body, but also I find emotionally and spiritually as well. It helps just kind of clear that stuff out. And so you can get Epsom salts for $2 at CVS. So it's really cheap.
Yeah. Well, nice. That's fantastic.
And it's super effective.
That's great. So, if people want to find out more about Natalie Taggart, how do they do that?
Yeah, totally. So you can go to my website. It's www.natalieanntaggart.com. And also my Facebook page, which is also facebook.com/NatalieAnnTaggart, and Instagram.com, NatalieAnnTaggart. And you can, on my website, there's a link to sign up for a complimentary 30-minute discovery session with me where we can talk more about, moving through your emotions and using them to kind of propel your success instead of holding you back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can attest personally to her effectiveness, so I definitely recommend you take advantage of that offer. So thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you, Lauren.